If you're here tonight, welcome. It's a special presentation with 4 of our favorite personalities from the pet industry. We are coming together to share a brand new frontier for felines. We've brought together an expert panel along with independent research to share with our community. I'm joined tonight with our very own adored beast apothecary, founder and formulator, Julie Anne Lee, Dr. Jean Hofve, a passionate holistic veterinarian who places a special interest on feline health and nutrition, and feline aficionados and kitty health and wellness awareness gurus, the 2 crazy cat ladies, Jae and Adrienne. I'm Steph B. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, we're happy to be here.
So,
Glad to have
Steph,
you. Yeah.
is your internet connection really good?
You know what? I'm okay, but I'm a couple provinces away from you.
I know. So I don't know what. Okay, now everybody's frozen to me. Are you guys frozen, or was it just me frozen?
No, you look.
Oh, you look good.
You look good on our side.
So everybody keeps freezing for me. So I don't know whether that's me or.
You know what, Julie? It looks clearer from here.
All right. Well, just let me know if all of a sudden I disappear.
For anyone that doesn't know, Julie just had the hurricane blow through. I think she just got power back this afternoon, perhaps.
Yeah, this morning.
So bear with us. We're going to do our very best, and let's work through it, because it's important why we're here tonight, and we're grateful for our community for joining us. Okay, so Julie,
I'm like, I feel like I'm totally not. I didn't even get to talk to you guys about it. It's sort of like, here's this panel, and it's like, all right, what's going on? That's so fun. It's like total improv, right?
Yes,
So
that's always the best.
Well, it kind of is, and I feel like because you probably have a million questions for me, it's going to be, hopefully it'll just go even better that way. So am I breaking up, or am I okay?
You're good.
yeah, you're good. Julie, I wanted to ask kind of why you invited us all here this evening. And I kind of spilled the beans there that Jae Adrienne and Dr. Hofve might have the inside scoop as to why, but tell us why we're here. Tell us what you've been working on for the past.
Well, I mean, I don't know if everybody knows this, but a big part of my practice when I had my vet hospital in Vancouver is I was the main veterinary hospital for Vancouver Orphan Kitten Rescue. So they're the largest cat rescue, kitten rescue, like orphan kitten rescue in probably, for a while, it was North America. And then now it's for sure Canada. But they rescue close to 2,000 kittens a year. Like, just, we're talking infant that you have to tube feed and bottle feed. And then they do all kinds of, catch and release and, or trap and release, I should say. And just tons and tons of rescue cats. So we worked with them for many, many years. And I'm a real cat lover. And I just, after I came out with the canine specific probiotic, species specific probiotic, for the longest time, I've been saying to my business partner, I just feel like cats in this space don't get as much attention as dogs. Like it drives me insane, because like, I don't understand why. And probably that's because of my personality a little bit, because I don't play favorites with any species. Like, I couldn't use shark cartilage when everybody was using shark cartilage, or shark fin for cancer. I just couldn't wrap my head around killing sharks or white leopards in, certain places to get certain herbs so that animals don't limp, right? So with the cat one, I was really looking at it, but cats are really complicated. They actually are a little more complicated. So when we decided that we really wanted to go down that road of looking at a species oriented, everybody was kind of talking us out of it from a financial point of view, going, people don't spend as much money on their cats, and this is like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of research, and you're not going to ever be able to recoup it, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, that's not even why I do it, right? Like I really feel like we're just brushing the surface when it comes to gut health with any species. We think we know a lot, and I'm looking at health microbiology for 27 years. And the more you research, I feel the less we know, because it's just such a massive, massive hemisphere in its own right in our bodies. So with cats, there hasn't been a species specific probiotic made for cats yet. And I truly believe that's the reason, is because there's not enough money in it from a perspective of investors and getting it done. So we did it. And I'm really excited because I have 9 rescue cats here, and we have barn cats and all of that stuff. And they all have issues because the majority of them got here sick, right? Like really bad feeling upper respiratory and herpes, and and I've got them along and they're doing well. But when I started them on this, I was really surprised by what I saw. I was surprised but not surprised, because we've done in vitro studies. So within the let me just start from scratch again. So the interesting thing about doing species oriented and species specific probiotics is that you take the feces from the species in which you're trying to find. So we took dog feces, and we took horse manure, and we took cat feces. And what's so cool, Jean, I think you would find this fascinating too, is that the first thing you do is you look at all the strains you can isolate. And there's many different kinds of bacteria, but each of those bacteria do specific things.
Right.
And what was the coolest thing that we found with dogs and cats is that they both have the ability to mitigate, suppress, or defend against E. coli, salmonella, and clostridium. So basically, when these bacteria are functioning to their ability in a gut, it's very unlikely that those 3 pathogenic bacteria could make that animal sick. So that was one of the first things that blew me away, because we're always scared about raw food and we're being told all about this. But when you think about it, if they didn't have that natural ability, they wouldn't have evolved, right? They would have gotten sick. They would have not been able to deal with what would naturally, cats are a little different than dogs, because dogs will eat dead prey for really long periods of time, but you're still dealing with animals that are ripping open prey in the hot sun, so it was super interesting for me to see that it did that. The next thing that was really always interesting too is that the probiotics that we have on the market for dogs and cats now are predominantly cattle probiotics, right? Strains of lactobacillus and bifidus and different strains that come from cattle. Well, cattle have a very different enzymatic and acidity level of their gut than a dog and cat, and so do we. So there was never been a test done to see if a cow probiotic would be viable in the acidity rate of a cat or a dog. So that was the first thing, that once we isolate the strains, we actually see if those strains are viable as a probiotic in vitro. So in a lab, we see if they can maintain the acidity level of a dog or cat. So we mimic exactly what a dog and cat's and horse acidity rate is in their gut, and we test it to see if it can live. Because if it can't live in that, then it's not going to get to the gut, right, where it needs to go to be able to colonize and procreate in the gut. So that's the first thing that we do. And then we start looking at what do they do? So and this is I'm going to try to do, because I want you to ask me questions, but what I really learned more in the cat study than the dog and the horse one, because we're doing more studies, is you guys have probably heard of postbiotic effects. Have you, or maybe you haven't?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So what postbiotics are is the metabolic, the metabolites of what a pre and probiotic do. So the only way you can know that is to research it. So the only way that you can know if your probiotics even have postbiotic effects is by doing loads and loads of research. And what's really interesting is that it's called we're calling it the Trifecta Effect. So it's the probiotic, the prebiotic, and then that makes the postbiotic. So if you don't have the right prebiotic with the right probiotic, that postbiotic won't have the same health benefits. It's quite complicated.
Yeah.
And with the research that we're doing and doing with the researchers and the people that are making this and doing all the research, is that which kind of prebiotics are actually giving the best benefit, right? Like giving us the best metabolic effect. And for me, it's not that I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's wrong. I don't think things like maltodextrin and inulin and things would be species appropriate, because cats and dogs and horses wouldn't be out eating maltodextrin and fructose and things like inulin, so we've been playing with different prebiotics as well. But so what we do is we actually figure out what the postbiotic effects are, and we base it on that of what we do, right? So we don't just go, here's this awesome probiotic and here's this awesome prebiotic, and these are what lactobacillus blah blah blahs tend to do. And so unless someone can actually tell you what the postbiotic effects are, they haven't researched their probiotics.
Wow.
Because you can't know unless you research them. If they are telling you their effects, they're telling you the effects that have come from the company in which they're purchasing the probiotics. And the 99.9% of that is human. It's based on human research, not animal research. Okay. So we do all this in vitro, and then we actually do live studies. And when we say live studies, we do feeding trials to see if that probiotic and prebiotic made it from mouth to tail. And then we look at the stool and we see if it maintained its viability, because some of it gets passed through right through the entire gut, and it did. So yeah, it's really exciting. And I know some people, like I said, don't get so excited about kitties and stuff, which makes me really sad. So what we were looking at is that the postbiotic metabolites produced by this pre and probiotic blend of species specific cat probiotics and bacteria, the activity in the intestines produce short chain fatty acids. They produce an antibacterial substance that helps to exclusion of pathogens, so bad bacteria, things that make cats sick, things that can start inflammatory bowel disease, all of that stuff, as well as enzymes. It produces enzymes for digestion and carbon. So when you look at all of that, it reduces the pH, which is what we always want with cats. It helps to increase adhesions to the intestinal mucosa. It improves the epithelial barrier of the gut, which is really, really important because that's what gets traumatized when animals have any kind of GI stress from either drugs or poor food or stress or a million things. And it, again, it had the thing that excites me the most about this is its immune modulation properties. So Jean, you would know 1,000,000% the amount of autoimmune diseases we have in cats, the amount of autoimmune disease.
More every day.
Every day. It's so incredible. So why this is, again, why I get so jazzed up on gut health and bacteria and stuff is because the more we're looking at species specific, the more we're seeing this. To me, this is where my brain goes. This makes sense now why we're seeing these diseases, because these animals aren't producing or are not being fed or supported with their species DNA of their bacteria. They're being supported with different bacteria. Saying that, we know that cow probiotics and soil probiotics empirically work. I mean, I've been using them I was using them at my clinic for 26 years.
Yeah.
But what is so important with this is it's giving us more of it's allowing us to have more diversity. And that is what the whole thing with gut health is about, right? The more diversity, you don't want to give 2 or 3 strains and just keep giving those 2 or 3 strains, because it's like planting a garden and expecting to have a wildflower garden, but you're only planting peonies, right? Like quite quickly, you're not going to have a wildflower garden, you're going to have peonies. And those peonies aren't going to be able to protect the gut from all the different things that it needs to protect. And it's not going to synthesize vitamins correctly, and it's not going to have the correct enzymes, and it's void in its ecosystem. It just has a really basic ecosystem, and you want their ecosystems to be as diverse as you possibly can. So when we look at all of these immune modulating effects, it makes me excited, because the first thing I think of is, I mean, cats and steroids they don't go out well together unless you want a diabetic cat.
Yes.
We give lots of that to dogs, but we get different diseases with dogs. But then we are still using steroids with cats, especially for inflammatory bowel disease or immune suppressive drugs, right? Because vets don't have an alternative in their toolbox, and they have this amazing creature in front of them, and they have these pet parents that are, adore them, and they don't have another choice. They don't have another way around that. So when you see a bacteria being able to modulate the immune system, because when you suppress the immune system, you get secondary bacterial and viruses, and then they have to go on antibiotics because their immune system is pushed down, and then they get bacteria and they get viruses, right? So to see a bacteria be able to go down, like if the immune system, we want the immune system here prepared to whether it needs to go up to fight viruses, and if it goes too high, it's going to go into autoimmune, it brings it down. So that's what immune modulator does. So these bacteria actually naturally modulate the immune system. So I just get really excited again, because when I think of dogs, and I mean, people are natural too, I get it, but we're so much more removed than our cats and dogs from our origin. Yeah. Cats and dogs were still semi-wild even when I was a kid, right? Every cat went outside, every cat hunted. every cat had sex with every other cat, with kittens everywhere.
Right.
They were much more, I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm just saying that they were able to live a much more natural life compared to us in our civilization and our urbanization. So when we're looking at them, they're still holding these very specific, important strains of bacteria in their gut that help them maintain their health. So anyways, I had to do it for cats because I just felt like it had to happen. Like, why would cats not have that?
Thank you. Thank you for that. There's so few out there, and it's always been our pet peeve. That that there is so little, that cats are overlooked in the pet health world so often. And I know that it's getting better, and it's starting to the cats are getting more of a voice. But this, Julie Anne, you just gave cats a real voice here, so thank you so much for that. That's amazing. Now I do have a question for you. I want to know how it lowers the pH in the gut.
So the metabolic effect of it. So the metabolites, how we find that out is in vitro, right? So and also testing the pH in urine, pH, the overall pH of the animal. So the animals that were fed this probiotic, it decreased the pH. So and when I say decreased, it brought it to where it needed to go. So it doesn't make it too low. It brings it down within the range of what a natural species the cat species should have.
Wow.
And I'm going to be honest with you, there's things that it does that are it literally speaks, bacteria in the gut literally speaks to every single function in our bodies. Our hormones, our kidneys, our brain, our heart, everything. And it concerns me a tinge that we're knowing that, because my concern is that we're going to compartmentalize it too much, instead of it looking like, I always talk about Yellowstone Park and how everything needs to be there in order for it to have a unified ecosystem. If you remove one thing or you overplant something else, it's not healthy, right? So when you're looking at their abilities to increase, decrease, turn off certain enzymes, turn on certain enzymes, it's like I said, it's like its own hemisphere. Like it's like it has its own or it orchestrates everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that makes sense, because health begins in the gut, right? What was it, Socrates or
Yeah, Socrates, you're right.
or said that like all disease begins in the gut, like it is, it's true. It really, our cats, like, supporting the gut is the most proactive thing that you can do for their overall health.
Yes.
So, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Jean, do you have questions for me?
Not at the moment. You're pretty clear. I mean, the short chain fatty acids, that's a big thing. And it's finally being recognized. I mean, people are now talking about the postbiotics, but they've always been crucial.
Very.
And then you have the gut-brain axis. So when the gut is healthy, not only is the cat healthier, their behavior is going to be better. They're going to feel good. They're going to live longer. Some days I might not want that, but most of the time. No, I want to keep my boy around a long time. And, and this is such a fabulous way to do it. And I've tried lots of probiotics, but, and the fact that it's pre and pro, it's only been in the last few years that probiotics have even bothered to add prebiotics. Well, if you don't put prebiotics in, you got nothing.
Nothing.
Now,
Like,
even
seriously, nothing.
yeah, even dead probiotics are beneficial, like dead lactobacillus. It will have a beneficial effect, but how much better can it be if it hasn't been destroyed?
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
this is very
And
exciting.
it really is exciting. And I mean, I know you guys will, and whoever's watching, especially if they're cat people, but maybe, some cat people don't see this very much, but I saw it a lot in my clinics, like really bad stomatosis and really bad gingivitis. And it's an autoimmune, there's another autoimmune disease where the cats become allergic to the plaque of their own teeth. And we tried this on a cat that has been on steroids because it's so sad. His teeth were removed and it didn't go away, right? So, because it's still, like, you can't remove all of that, like, it's impossible. You take their jaw right out. But he went on it, and within about, I don't know, like close to a month, it's about 75% better.
Oh, that's fabulous, because that
Yeah.
is impossible to treat.
It is, unless you're like, even with like they kept saying, like, we have to take his teeth out or else he's going to become diabetic, because he was on such high amounts of pred.
Yeah.
And it's the only way he could eat because he was in so
Yeah.
much pain. And then but I'm sure that has a double whammy, because the inflammation happens. Like, this is my philosophy behind this. The inflammation happens, and then because it's its mouth, the bacteria happens. So I think it's a double whammy. It was decreasing its naturally immune modulating his whole system from his gut up, not just there, from his gut up. And then it was helping with the bacteria in his mouth, the pathogenic bacteria in his mouth.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason that it helped so much, and cats that have been, like, chronically sneezy and, herpes and crusty noses, and it's really made like surprising, even for me. Like, I was excited about it, but I honestly didn't know how much it was going to help. And I think it's possibly because it is so new to the cat, like to the cat world. They're getting something that they've never had before, on top of, like, their drugs, and if they've been on bad food and stuff. I think it's almost like a little bit of a shock to their system for them to go, oh, I recognize you. I recognize you.
I know what to do with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know exactly where you need to go. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I have two questions, but I think this is. May I ask two questions, please?
Yes.
Number one, I'm so excited about this because you're so right. There's such a poverty of research and science that only addresses cats. And I think there's still a huge pot of people out there that think probiotics in general are some snake oil that is just all BS. My first question is, this research, this science, is it going to be consumable to the public?
We're doing it consumably. So we were just at a trade show with it, and we've done it, and Stephanie will share all this stuff with you so that you can show people, but we've done it in bullet points, like
Good.
really simple, very, very simple, in simple terms. And we've got a graph, right, as well. So the graph, the visual, really helps people to understand. So we have things that are super easy to digest, and then we have, for people that are real research nerds, we have really high level stuff. Yes, exactly. Like, I just brought up a graph. I just brought up a graph, and I'm like, okay, I have to share that with Jean, because it and you guys too, but it's really complicated. like really like all the microbiologists and everything had to go over it with me, like piece by piece by piece by piece to connect all the dots. It's quite something to try to understand it. And we have from that and everything sort of in between.
Wow,
Nice.
amazing. And my second question is going to be a little bit of a piggyback, because I think that, we do know that the immune system begins in the gut and how important that is. And yet we ourselves have been in the position where we do have a cat with an autoimmune issue, and the steroids are the only thing that can help. Right now, that has been 3+ years ago, and with more knowledge and information and help from this beautiful community, he has not been on steroids. But I think there is still so much about that is the only thing that can help. And I
Right.
love what you just said about it not being healthy for cats in general. And I
Yeah.
think that every veterinarian is like, cats metabolize steroids differently. It's not the same as it is for people. This is something that's going to be, this is the only thing that's going to help.
It's fine.
Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I do think, the whole world of probiotics and still being on all of these pharmaceuticals, they can kind of bump heads sometimes. And so can you speak a little bit to that whole steroid use with cats?
Yeah, well, I mean, and Jean can help me too, because I mean, for me, my mentor was a veterinarian that he was very hardcore with things. He would try every single solitary thing known to man that before he would ever use steroids. And he taught me something that was really interesting. So how I met him was I did my program in England with the British Homeopathic Veterinary Surgery. So I did 4 years of the human homeopathic medicine. And then I went to England and did the 3 years with the British Homeopathic Veterinary Surgeons. And then when I came back, I was doing like a house call thing, and this veterinarian called me, and he said, I'm reaching for homeopathy because I can't find alternatives in so many things. And I took Richard Pitcairn's course, and it was an excellent course, but I still don't feel like I have a strong enough understanding. And I've heard lots of things about.
No.
Oh no, we froze.
Hey, that's okay. I'm still here.
Okay, okay,
I'm
Steph.
sure Julie will be right back. But you know what? I was hoping that you'd be willing to share a couple of the stories, because we sent you jars before, and Jae and Adrienne, I know you said that. Oh, Julie, are you back?
Oh, there you are.
Oh, there am I. What happened? Where did I look? What happened?
You were talking about the course.
What the American vet said to you, that he was starting to reach more for homeopathy, and then
Oh, and then that ended. Crap.
Thanks, Jean.
So do you want to just stay on, Steph, for a minute so that
You got
can
it.
help? Okay. So anyways, he went to Richard Pitcairn's course, but wanted to even dive deeper. And so he came in on my house call practice with me. And what I was saying is within 3 months, we started opening a clinic and the whole 9 yards. But what he taught me, which I think the whole world should know about, and not a lot of vets do this, is that, and I have arguments with vets and pharmacists constantly, especially about steroids, is microdosing. And sometimes if you have to give something, and it's because it's life or death, here you go, this or no cat or dog or horse or whatever, you do it. And then what he would do is he would then, and this is what I find is a big gap with holistic medicine, is that it's one or the other, right? And it's like, I got to take them off all these drugs before I start this, or I'm going to start this, and then I'm taking them off all the drugs. And the whole thing to remember with steroids or atopica or any kind of immune suppressive, you get a rebound effect. Right? So you're pushing. Oh, isn't that awesome? There's no symptoms. But then if you take them off, even when you take them off in a way that the drug companies tell you to take them off, you know, go to every other day,
Taper it down, yeah.
to tapering down. I haven't had a lot of success, speaking of cats. I haven't had a lot of success in seeing that rebound effect not happen. And then they wind up having to go back on it, right? So okay, no, I know, now she's gonna lose it.
No, you have to show us the kitty. Come on.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'll show her you. Out.
Hungry.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's enough.
Stop it. Oh my God.
Usually she's not this camera shy.
He's gonna come back up again and then probably attack my face. Anyways, she was the little feral cat that was almost dead, and she still has that feral edge to her. So she's something else. She's like full grown now, but she's like this big. She was sick for a really, really long time, like a really long time, but she's amazing now, and she tells everybody off, and my dog is afraid of her. So, but anyways, so is especially when you're putting in something that's immune modulating and you're trying to, we would have animals on, we would have people taking razor blades and shaving it off, taking it off that small, and then finally giving them the most itsy bitsy amount. And their animals have no liver problems. We're not worried about their pancreas or diabetes. We're not worried about their joints. And they stay on that for quite a while, and then they come off of it. And people were like, oh, there's no therapeutic value. But we would take them off of it and they would relapse again. So what I think all that's about is spaying and neutering. I think that's a big part of it.
Partly, yeah.
You know, because they're missing that piece or something. But now what I'm excited about, was it the bacteria that they're missing? Is it the bacteria in their gut that we've never given them or never rebalanced them with, that they didn't have the ability to modulate their immune system, right? Like naturally as well.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have all the answers. I just know what it's doing, you know, from that perspective. Why do you think that happens?
Well, Dr. Alfred Plechner wrote a
Oh,
book,
yes.
and he talked about a physiologic dose of steroids.
Yeah.
And I actually worked with a cat in Canada for years, and he was an FIV cat, and he was on just the teeniest, tiniest dose of prednisolone. Don't let a vet give your cat prednisone. It doesn't work. Prednisolone has to be in cats. But, you know, this cat taught me a lot because we could not wean him any further down. And, you know, we did everything else, but he lived for years with a, you know, kind of fulminant FIV, and he did great. So that taught me that, you know, steroids are not necessarily the devil. Sometimes you really are curing a deficiency, and whether that's genetic or due to vaccinations, which of course completely screws with everything. And you're right. I mean, in your whole endocrine system, which is carefully balanced, and there's, you know, it's so intricate, and we don't know squat about it. You know, you can make a giant chart of all the interactions, scratching the surface. We don't know nothing. And so, but, you know, everything we do, the diet, the environment, you know, the social and play and all that good stuff. Flower essences if they're stressed, you know, all that homeopathy for sure. I took Pitcairn's course also. And, you know, we can only go so far. We can't make them the way God made them, you know, 1,000 years ago, but we can do pretty good. And, you know, more tools in the toolbox. Amen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, Adored Beast has always been trying to like go back to what would be the most species, like even that's why we put larch in, right? So, you know, larch was a prebiotic that when I was like, okay, when I'm starting to make this was a long time ago in my clinic, I just couldn't get my head around what we were using as prebiotics. Like I couldn't, I'm like, okay, here they're on these awesome species specific diets, and they're, we're trying to, play with them to mimic them being outside and everything. But like they wouldn't be eating this. Like they would, how would they get that? So when I was looking at larch, the reason I chose larch was I started looking at, well, what would be in the gut of the prey that they're eating? What's in a gut of a mouse? What's in a gut of a bird? What's in the gut of a rabbit, or what's in a gut of a deer, or what's in a gut of whatever? And the one thing that everything had, from beavers to squirrels to rats to mice to deer to everything, was bark.
Oh,
Right? So the birds would pick on bark. Bark was something, tree bark was something that almost all of them ate at some point. Well, larch is made from tree bark. So that's why I used larch. And then when I started really researching larch and its ability to immune modulate and decrease the metastases of tumors. And I have a thing on larch and just cats in one of my blogs. It's very friendly. It's a very friendly prebacteria with cats. It doesn't cause gas. It doesn't do a lot of different things that the other prebiotics do. So, when we think about all of that, I think for me, I'm trying to go backwards, not forwards. I'm trying to go forwards from a base, like a research base, but I keep taking that research and then trying to go back to what would that look like back then? So, okay, I have all this 2022 research, but what would that mimic 100 years ago, 200 years ago? Not what's inexpensive or easy to get, or like I have the best business partner in the entire planet because I drive him crazy, because everything I use is either hard to mix, hard to, you know what I mean? Like we have to figure out how to stick it in a bottle, and it's never easy. Whereas all of this other stuff, it's been made for ease. It's been made for the supplement companies to be able to mix it, and it doesn't cake, and it's got natural anti-caking agents, and it's got this and it's got that. None of our stuff has that, because I don't use anything that's not a 100% pure ingredient that wouldn't come from something natural.
Yeah.
Right. So it makes it a little more difficult for us to sometimes get products out as fast as other companies, because we have to play with that. We do a lot of research to just get a product out, because we won't put, silicone dioxide in it to make it easier to mix and things like that. And we won't use maltodextrin, and we won't use different things like that. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but the farther back I go, the results that I see in all of our test animals and everybody we're trialing it on, is the faster the body seems to recognize what to do with it. It's so cool.
I love that. I have another question for you, because it was like, we did a Q&A with you like a year or two ago. I can't remember time, right? But you were the only person that I've ever heard this. Somebody asked a question about what can I do for my cat with asthma? And you said something along the lines of a probiotic and helping the gut in helping asthma. And I'd never heard that before. I was like, what? Okay, this is cool. Have you tried this with any asthmatic kitties?
Yes.
And you have, okay. Results?
An obese asthmatic kitty, in fact. So and he's doing amazing. Yeah,
Really?
he's doing really, really good. But one of my favorite things for cat asthma is N-acetylglucosamine. So NAG, right?
Okay.
So NAG is, like, to me, anything that has anything to do with its lungs, people, animals, horses, cows, pigs, cats, dogs, doesn't matter. should be on NAG. So NAG is an anti-inflammatory for smooth muscle. So the lungs, the lining of the gut, the lining of the bladder, it decreases the same way glucosamine helps with inflammation in a joint, and acetylglucosamine helps with inflammation in smooth muscle. So it helps to decrease the inflammation right in the lining of the lungs.
Wow.
So it's really, really helpful. Where
that
do
in
we
your
get
shop?
NAG? Pardon?
Is that in your shop?
That's in almost every single, it's in our kitty bladder one. It's in our cat gut soothe,
Yes, that's it.
right? It's in that.
Feline gut soothe.
I'm always telling people if they've got cats or dogs or dogs like that have like bulldogs and things that have short snouts to try like to rotate with gut soothe, because it helps the gut. So it helps with acid reflux. It helps that whole, esophagus, lung, throat, all that stuff. But then it also really does help the lungs a lot. Like I have horses that have COPD, and like I have rescue horses, right? I had a rescue horse that got off the trailer that couldn't walk from the trailer to the barn without going blue. He couldn't breathe. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Really bad. And I have 3 different vets listening to this horse's lungs now and saying that he has pristine lungs.
Wow.
Just almost unheard of. I mean, we steam his hay. We are very, very, he's on like paper shavings, not wood shavings. Like we go all out to help recover these guys, to get them to recover. But I know we have an equine gut soothe. I know it's the NAG is a big part of it. And also slippery elm and all that stuff is really good for lungs, but definitely gut, right? It I don't know. That's the other one. Sorry, is we are allowed to say from a health, there's things that this probiotic has that we're actually allowed to use health claims. So we're one of the very few probiotics that can actually legally use health claims now, because we've done so much research, and it is an anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
It actually works as an anti-inflammatory. So systemic anti-inflammatory.
And then for everyone listening, how often would you say give it to a kitty? How much? How often?
The reason that I made it as a formula like we did is because for the same thing, I'm not a big believer in detox, right? Like I'm such a suck. I can't stand seeing anything suffer. Like even for a few days, I'm like, people are really, he's probably detoxing. No, I don't want him to detox. It's like, so we put fulvic and humic acid in it. So fulvic and humic acid is really, it's almost like chelation. I mean, Jean, I know you know what chelation is.
Yeah.
But when you think of heavy metals, so if you're worried that your kitty has been anywhere near glyphosates, heavy metals, drinking water that has heavy metals in it, vaccines have mercury and all kinds of heavy metals in it. Fulvic and humic acid work like they're a mineral. So they give minerals, and they give ancient minerals. So they give 80 minerals that you can't reproduce anymore. You can't synthetically reproduce these minerals. So fulvic acid comes from the center of the ground. From the one that we have is from the Ice Age. So any of the vegetation that happened in the Ice Age, like plants and trees that we don't even have now, it has that mineral in it. So that mineral helps to detoxify the body from heavy metals and glyphosates and things like that. So it's a natural, and we're around that all the time, and they're around it even more. Like if they're like, I'm watching your cat walk on your couch, and they're around when if people aren't conscious, of not getting couches that have like fire retardants on them, and not using Febreze, and if people aren't aware of that, or they can't get their children to stop using, hormone disruptor stuff in perfumes and things like that. Our cats and dogs are so close to that. It's like, for me, they need a very, very, very gentle something in their system that can help them daily get rid of that stuff, not wait till it builds up, right? And fulvic and humic acid has also shown lots and lots of research to show that it helps to stabilize the barrier of the gut lining. So it helps give the integrity to the gut lining. So there's that in it. And then there is our other 14 strain. So the one that we always have, we've mixed that with it, and we've used larch, and then the 3 cat strains. So when I'm very conscious about when you have to put stuff in cat food, from a perspective of cats are picky, so you want to you want the biggest, you don't want to supersize anything, because when you supersize something, it means that you have to put a lot in their food. Look at that guy.
Not camera shy.
No. So if you have this great big bottle and it says to give your cat 1 scoop, but that 1 scoop's like a tablespoon.
Mhm.
You're trying to mix a tablespoon of stuff in your cat's food.
Right.
I don't want to do that. I want the most minuscule amount I can get. I want to make it so concentrated with nothing in it but active ingredients, so that you just have to put a bit of, and this is the other thing I really want to tell you that's important for cats. So when you feed that to your cat, you're getting, is it 17 strains? 17, right? Steph?
I'll have to get back to you on that. Let me pull up my.
Yeah, it's
cheat
7.
sheet.
I'm pretty positive it's 17 because of the 14. Then you're getting larch, which is to me more species specific, 17, yeah. And the fulvic and humic acid. And then we wanted to make it palatable. So this is the other thing. It just blows me away when you see natural beef flavor or natural chicken flavor. I can almost guarantee you it isn't.
Right.
It's not natural. It's synthetic.
Right.
So we tried for how long? 2 years to try to find an actual natural flavor of any kind, whether it was tuna, beef, chicken, it didn't matter. When I would look at the certificate of analysis, I couldn't even understand what it was saying. It's like, well, where's beef? Like, where's beef? How is this natural beef flavor? At some point through this whole processing with all of these chemicals, beef was there somewhere at some point, but it's almost like it was a fragrance. It is bizarre. The flavor industry is the weirdest industry I've ever had to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so I've put in to make it palatable. We did the same thing with our easy peasy powder. We use grass-fed organ, right? So grass-fed liver. So but it's a glandular. So a glandular actually gives therapeutic value. It's not just flavor. It is actually good. It's like your cat has gone out and eaten a gland from a mouse.
Wow.
Right. So the flavor in that is actually therapeutic. So there's nothing, and you saw how much you give, right? Just a tiny little bit.
Yeah, but that explains why Dr. Jean's cat likes his food better with it in now.
Yeah, but he did not like glandular powder. I had a beautiful
interesting.
grass-fed gland, in a capsule, and then I would sprinkle some on. He was not crazy about that.
Huh. But he likes this.
He prefers his food with this in it, yes.
Oh, nice. Oh, I never heard that.
I'm curious. I'm curious to hear what else your kitties liked about it. Like
he he was a street rescue. And, you know, when I first got him, he was emaciated, frostbitten, I don't have a proper word for the people that declawed him and threw him out on the street. At least not a polite word. And, you know, when I first got him, of course, he ate like a tornado because he was desperate. But then he decided, well, I don't have to eat just anything now. And so it's a battle. It's a daily battle. You should see how much food I have in this house. It's ridiculous. And every day it's like, do you think he's gonna like that flavor or that flavor? And this stuff, he's very happy to eat it. And
Oh,
it just
awesome.
it blows my mind because now I can get him to eat better food, you know.
That's
That's
amazing.
that's
That's
a
so great to
bonus.
hear. That's amazing to hear. I was excited because I have 2 out of my 9. I have 2 that are super duper picky. And I'm like, oh, please, please, please. The first time I put it on. And they were like, no problem. They just went right to it. And I wonder sometimes if they, again, do they just sense it? Like, do they
They know
just
it's-
really know, like, as if
Yeah.
they go outside and eat a certain grass? Do they know that this, like, there's nothing synthetic, there's nothing weird in it? So are they going to it and eating it because it's like dirt, right? Fulvic and humic acid is sort of like dirt.
Yeah.
So it, you know, does it have, and then the cat strain, do they just intuitively know that it's going to help them, that it's good for them?
Probably.
Cats
I
are
mean,
so
cats
much
are really
smarter than
smart.
us.
Yeah, they're way
They
smart.
really are smart. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are.
And Perry is extremely smart. He's way smarter than me. So, you
Yeah.
know,
Join
but,
the
but
club.
I've been very pleased that he loves it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Our cats have not had an issue whatsoever. And we actually, right before you jumped on, we were talking about it. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, but we took our cats off of probiotics. So they've been getting probiotics in rotation for, forever. And we took our cats off of probiotics because we were doing the animal biome testing for each one of them. So with the kitty biome test where you get, and they specifically say, keep them off of probiotics for at least a week. And it took us, with 6 cats, it took us a while to catch each one of them pooping. Well, one of our cats, her twin brother, Zorro, he started getting really bad dandruff all of a sudden. And we were like, what in the world? He's on a fantastic raw diet. He's our purest cat. Like, he won't eat anything processed. They get, digestive enzymes, omega-3s, like all this stuff and things. And then we put him on this. Once we got all the stool samples, we started this, and it was literally within a week, maybe a few days. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was like,
yeah. And the dandruff's gone. So that's
gone. And like Steph was saying, or you were saying, I do think that there's something about when you give something that is a cat's like specific species, it's like their bodies know what to do with it faster. Like, I do think, so often with natural products, there's that, you got to kind of play with it a little bit. And maybe this dose for this kitty would be more effective for, but watching that with Zorro was just incredible, just realizing that even something like dandruff, like, what is going on? And he hadn't been on his probiotics for a month.
Yeah.
Within, I'm thinking a week, but
maybe less. Yeah.
4 or 5 days. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And all of our cats have trouble eating it. I think that's something that most people are scared of with cats is
Very.
Yep. And it is
Very.
unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, we have 100% guarantee, right? So if something happens and people use it and their cats don't eat it, then they can just send it back. Right. So we went through pretty diligent trials to be sure that everybody was eating it. And, so that's a big one, because we don't put flavors or anything like that in anything but our cat ones. Right. So the dog stuff doesn't have anything, but the cat ones do. And it's the way we went, because I just couldn't. And again, it's way more expensive than flavor. I think flavor would probably cost a penny for an entire jar,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So, but this is, it is doing something. It's definitely has a therapeutic value. So
Can I ask first of all, I love that you give our cats a specific species attention. Amazing. From start of, hey, this would probably be good for our cats to today.
Yeah.
What kind of timeline are we looking at?
the 4 years, 3 years, 3
Oh,
years.
wow.
Bless you.
Wow.
So lots of work, lots of research, lots of
Easy girl.
really brilliant, really brilliant people working on it. Like really brilliant.
She was working on this when we did
When
that
we did
Q&A.
the Q&A with you.
Busted.
Yes.
love-
And how I started is I was asked to go to PEI University, which is a vet university here in Canada, and to talk about gut health. And this was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe. And I was talking to them about it, and this really smart young vet, this woman, I think she'd only been out of school for 2 years. And she said, I loved your presentation. My mom has been talking to me about gut health. Like my mom was sort of a hippie, but she's been talking about gut health. And, I really subscribe to what she said and everything, but I have a question. Do we use the same probiotics on our animals as we do with people? Did I freeze?
No.
Yoy.
No,
No, you're not
You're good.
frozen.
Good. You're here with us.
You're here.
No, you're good. Maybe it froze on Julie's end.
Can you hear
Bugger.
me now?
Yeah, we got you.
What did I get to?
We use the
PEI
same probiotics
University.
on animals as
Okay.
we do humans.
Yes.
Thank you, Jay.
And I said, yes, we do, because we do. And she said, why do we do that? And I said, because no one's done the research. And I remember driving home and meeting Jake, the company that I work with, and going, okay, there goes my roof of my house and my new car's in my truck. And I was just like, she just was like this light bulb. Why would we do that? Wouldn't it make more sense to create the bacteria and the species from the animals? And I said, you know what? I know someone that's doing that. It's in early stages. Yeah. He's been talking to me about it. So I got home and I called them and I'm like, okay, I'm in. Let's do this. So it's been in the making for 6 years, like all of them. And we're coming out with, should I say?
Do it.
no, but there's something coming out.
There is something coming out, something else coming out. That's
Oh,
exciting.
wow.
I
Yeah.
have a couple questions from the audience, if that's okay.
And Stephanie's got me on a tight leash.
Wait, leash.
Fran, she's not a cat owner, but she does love cats. But she was, oh, this is interesting. Okay, this is a little bit off topic, excuse me. Recently moved to a new house and surprised that there was cat pee on the walls and cabinets. I've tried enzyme cleaners, peroxide, and just wondering if any of the cat experts on the panel have a solution to get rid of the smell. Anyone?
The one I use is called Zero Odor. You can get it at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah.
It was developed with the help of Nick Dodman at Tufts University.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I've had real good luck with that. And there's another one called XO that is pretty good. It has a lot of smell when you first put it on, but then it evaporates. But those work really well.
What's it called? Zero what?
Zero Odor.
Zero odor.
Good to know.
Yeah,
We
have to-
once,
Yeah.
we've always used anti-icky poo.
oh, is
Yeah.
that another good one?
It's an
Here it
enzyme.
is.
Oh, there it is right there.
Zero odor. Okay.
Dr. Hofve on the quick draw.
Um,
Anti-icky poo?
Anti-icky poo. And you know what? It's funny because I do think a lot of people don't necessarily read the directions. They just spray it on there and think
And wipe
that's
it
what's
off.
right. Like that's what it's supposed to do. But it's actually depending on the surface that you're cleaning, you really want to make sure that you're following the directions on the enzymatic cleaner. So I am
Oh.
sure if she's been dealing with this for a while that she has read the directions, but it does really, I do think probably depend on the quality of the product as well. So I would go with Dr. Jean Hofve's recommendations.
We're gonna go with Dr. Jean.
We're gonna check it out too. Anti-icky poo has worked well,
Yeah.
but it is, I'm always up for a new one, and especially when it comes to fabrics, that can be difficult.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really,
Yeah.
carpets and stuff. This stuff is great. And I think you can put it in the laundry if they get towels and stuff. And but I've been using it for years now. So
Perfect.
I order like a gallon refill, you know.
Just to have it on hand.
Yeah,
Just in case.
boy, that's not something you want to run out of.
No.
Oh, not with 9 cats. You don't want to run that.
Hansina has a question. Have you tried the Felix's Flora for cats with chronic ear infections?
None of my cats have chronic ear infections, but I don't see why. I mean, if chronic ear infections, I mean, unless there's something wrong with its ear canal, like it's been born with like a really, really tight or small ear canal. Obviously she would have been checked for everything else. Obviously it's probably been on antibiotics. Oh, that's the other thing. Sorry. Every time I talk about something, it raises these probiotics are resistant to antibiotics.
Good.
So,
That was my next question.
Oh, wow.
Now, let me say something, because I've seen a lot of questions go by in the chat about, can it cure this? Can it do that?
yeah,
If I start this, can I just take them off of the 87 drugs? No.
no.
Slowly, you introduce the flora, and then once they're established on that, then you very carefully start to wean them off other drugs. In concert, your veterinarian needs to know what you're doing.
100%.
You know, it's not a magic wand. I've been rereading Harry Potter, so I got that image, but I had surgery, so I needed something, mindless to do. But but you just be careful. This is an adjunct to all the other good things we do for our animals.
Yeah.
If they've been over vaccinated, if they've been on crap food, we have to fix all that. Homeopathy for the vaccinosis, and exercise and play therapy for the tense guys or the territorial guys. And there's so much we can do. This is a great tool, but it is not the only tool. So use it wisely.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes they go in a vicious circle, right? So if it's anytime I hear infection, I instantly think that they've had some kind of antibiotics, whether it's been like in their ear or whether it's been oral. And lots of times with cats it's injectable. It's a injectable antibiotic, and that just leads to more infection because you're decreasing the gut microbiome, which decreases the immune system, and then you're on this vicious circle. So if this cat has had chronic ear infections, I would probably say that it needs probiotics, period. That's something different. It's definitely worth trying, especially if their if he's getting it because his immune system is under functioning, which is usually the case in infections.
Yeah. And it's really good to hear that they can stand in the face of antibiotics. That's really important.
Yeah.
And I think and somebody just asked about vaccinations. No, I don't recommend they get every vaccination known to man. On my website, littlebigcat.com, I have a huge article on vaccinations. That's what you need. But you use these every day. The Felix's Flora, you use it every day, no matter what's going on. it will help their immune system react appropriately if
Appropriately,
they
yeah.
need vaccinations, like rabies is required in, I think, every state now. So, you know, I'm not going to tell you don't vaccinate. You know, I can't, that's illegal, but, you know, be judicious and, you know, see if you can find a cat vet who is really more conscious about cats and cancers and the autoimmune stuff, because
And fibrosarcomas and all
yeah,
of that stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
It terrifies me to think
yeah,
about doing any of that. Like,
yeah.
I
Just
don't know.
one quickie, no killed vaccines for cats. For rabies, and there is Mariel makes a PureVax. It's a recombinant DNA or RNA, I forget which, but it does not cause the cancer because it doesn't contain the aluminum and the mercury and the adjuvants that the killed ones do.
Mhm.
So people who really know cats, they never ever give a cat a kill vaccine because one vaccine can cause that cancer.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So Beverly's got a 10-year-old cat, does the healthy gut, just bought feline gut soothe to switch him to. He doesn't have any major health issues. So would you suggest Felix Flora recommended for all cats, for some cats? How do you recommend that we?
Well, because it's got the species specific, it can go with all of the probiotics that we have, right? So that's the nice thing, is people don't have to worry about, you can just rotate them. You know, you can go through one jar, go through another jar, go through another jar, all the different ones. You don't have, that doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, oh, you know, how many times do I do this? You just go through the jar. When it's empty, go and buy a different one. But if your cat has chronic IBD or chronic, it would predominantly be gut soothe and Felix Flora, right? So Felix's Flora has been researched with things like IBD and stuff. So, and I know firsthand with the feline gut soothe with IBD is I mean, we have thousands of people that use that product that has helped IBD. So I would say, if there's nothing wrong, like nothing really specifically wrong, I think every cat would benefit from it because it's got cat species specific bacteria in it. I don't know a cat that wouldn't benefit from it. And also the fulvic and humic acid, because we can't keep them in a bubble to keep them away from all the chemicals and all the, you know, all the different, you know, stuff that's in water, stuff that's on the if they're outside, stuff that's on the grass, stuff that's in their food, right? Like, even if we have, you know, even if you have the raw food and, you know, the cows are eating grass that has glyphosates, or they're eating grain that has glyphosates or whatever, I mean, that just gets into them, it gets into the water system, it gets in through everything. It's just rampant. I think it says that isn't it in the US that they think that 76% of every single person that would do a urine test would have glyphosate in their urine?
Probably more.
Something scary like that.
Yeah, because now they're using glyphosate pre-harvest to get all the to kill the plants so they can harvest beans, oats. It's not just the, you know, the specifically Roundup Ready plants, but now it's in everything. It's really, really difficult to avoid it.
Yeah, someone just said it's higher than 76.
Yeah, I think it's a lot higher.
So, and I've also had people ask me if they can take it, right? Like, people can take it. 100% people can take it.
Well, good. I was going to ask you if you'll make one for me.
Yes, I take all of our probiotics and I just mix them around, and I remember the first time I took Phytos Flora, and I've taken the equine Flora. I've taken them all because I believe that we cross species contaminate each other constantly. I'm constantly kissing my animals on the mouth, and, you know, I don't wash my hands when I'm in, like, eating a sandwich after I've had my hands in horse poo. Like, I just whatever. Well, I mean, no, but I mean, if I'm in the barn and I'm scratching them and I'm scratching their butts and whatever, like I don't go, oh, I want to eat something now. Or I'm going to eat this apple and oh, I better go wash my hands.
You can't wash your hands out in the barn. I'm with you.
No, so if I think for 1 second, I don't have their bacteria, I think 100% I do. And I think that the same way that the cow one has helped, empirically, we know has helped animals, there's no reason why that probiotic isn't going to be good for us, especially when we're around animals so much, right?
Love that.
Yes. I just pictured you with like brown hands eating a
Well,
sandwich.
you know what? That's not, I mean, I'm not even going to go into it.
Oh,
No, I won't go into it. I remember one time there was something happening and I was like solid. Do you remember that? And I was doing an AJA and I washed my hands if I didn't have the time to have a shower. So I didn't like wash my hair. And I came up and I remember saying something and going, oh my God. And then I looked at my fingernails and I had like donkey poo like all under my fingernails. And I was like mortified. I was just like, oh my God. And I think it was you. You said, what's, because I think my face went all red. You're like, what's going on? I'm like, I just realized I had some like donkey poo everywhere under my fingernail.
But donkey poo.
but I mean, it's the same as like the dogs barking in the background or the cat coming on the screen. I mean, it's just who we are.
Yeah.
This community, it just is real talk.
Yeah, it's not Hollywood, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Not here anyways. But sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was going to take it away.
We were having we had a hurricane. It was intense. It was really, really scary. And I knew that we were going to have to lock up the cows and lock up the horses. And we were going to have to say, okay, love you, good night. And this was at, 11:30 and the winds were already close to 160. Batten down the hatches. And I went into the barn with the cows. And they had just finished, like I have people that help me out and they had just finished cleaning the barn and they're big, like they have this big thing that they're together, the three of them. And I looked down and Elsie, one cow just had this major poo. Okay. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want her to lie on that all night. I don't want that to be in with her all night. But I was also kind of scared to go back and get the pitchfork in the barn because it was like so windy. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I just picked it up and like cow poo was like really kind. And the guy that was with, I sponsored a Ukraine family and he was with me and he was standing there and I looked at him and he was just like, he was just like, I said, just move out of the way, get out of the way. I had to throw it. So I picked it up and held it like this and threw it out the door because I was like determined that she wasn't going to lie on and get locked in with it all night. But
I am so in love with you right now. I can't contain the feeling in my heart. I love that so.
Well, he was like kind of like trying to stay away from me the whole time we were walking up.
Crazy.
It was crazy. But then they know that kids that play in manure, they have less autoimmune diseases. They have less allergies. They have less. I mean, what do you think if you're putting manure on your garden? I know now people that won't wash their vegetables even, they pick it up and they bang it, right? Mm-hmm. Or they just rinse it quickly under the water. If you don't think that there's some cow poo remnants left in that somewhere, I mean, it's not like it's just funny. I'm not, people are completely different. Like I gag. Like I can't be around it. It's terrible. But
all right, I know Steph is about to take it away, but may I ask one last question? Who is Felix?
Felix, well, Felix the cat.
Yeah.
Do you know Felix the cat?
Yeah.
The
Young.
Cartoon?
Oh, okay.
Is that what you meant? That's what you mean, Jean? Like Felix, the
Felix the
Felix-
cartoon cat, yeah.
cartoon cat. But when I was 6, I had a cat named Felix.
Ah,
I love
And
that.
and he only had 3 legs. And I found him. We were moving to our farm, and it was the strangest thing. My dad knows everything, but always things bad would happen. And we had my bed on the back of our old pickup truck, and we were driving up this thing to this farm we were moving to, and the mattress went flying off and went into the ditch. And I'm like, oh, my dad's like, come on, you gotta have to help me, help me. So we're like going in the snow, we're going down to try to get my mattress, and I turn around and I see this blood in the ditch. And I'm like, what is that? And looking around, and then I see this cat, and he's lying in the ditch and has no leg from about here down. So they figured that he was caught in a trap, and he chewed his leg off.
Oh,
And anyways, I was just like, so we got him and we took him home, and then we took him to the vets, and they wrapped him up, and we took him in the house and fed him and cared for him and whatever. And I called him Felix, and he lived with us for I think he was fairly, I don't think he was that old, but we had him for 12 years. So I don't know how old he was, but he grew a pad, almost like a pad around his,
Callus.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it almost felt like a pad. I mean, obviously it wasn't, but so he was really he used it like a stump to walk on. So
oh my
Boy,
God.
that is so cosmic that you should happen to have the mattress blow off.
right there,
That is the universe in action.
100%. 100%. And I was like, leave my mattress. We have to take the cat. My dad's like, oh, we have to get leave the mattress. It was just like, so we left the mattress, and he went back for it after we took the cat to the vets. And it
Oh,
was soaking wet, and I had to sleep on. He's like, well, you can sleep on the cat. We left your mattress, and now you can sleep on the floor with the cat on the sleeping bag until your mattress is dry.
Oh my God, I'm in love with your dad now too. Wow.
Yeah, I was complaining the whole way there, though. Your mattress better be there when we're going back.
Expensive.
I'm like, it's white. Like who's gonna see it in the snowbank? Just, anyways, yeah, no. So I did name him after that, but Felix, I named that one Felix from the cartoon. The
wow.
3
What a
legs, right?
beautiful story.
So
I love that.
All right, I'm calling it. Thank you, ladies, everyone, for joining us tonight. Thank you to the attendees for hanging out.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Thank you all.
Yeah, we can hear you. Did you freeze again, Julie?
I did.
Oh, you're
And now
back. Now you're back.
Okay,
All right.
awesome. All right.
I'll edit it out tomorrow.
Okay. Well,
All
thank
right.
you so much, you guys. I
Thank
really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
So good to get to know you guys. It was fun.
Good to
Yeah.
finally meet you. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you,
bye-bye.
everyone, for joining us. And if you want to try Felix's Flora, Felix 30 will save you 30% off. Thank you, everyone. And maybe we'll see you on Dr. Jean or the Crazy Cat Ladies channels soon. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.